Hey guys, this is Marsh, and she's a sculptor, and she's volunteered to be my first interview for Talking to Stranger, a series in which I explore our political differences and the places in which we actually come together. So, Marsh, say hi to the Facebook Hive.
Hi.
All right, what are you going to teach me to do today?
So I'm using the mouth of the David, Michelangelo's The David, which is a student teaching device. You simply have to make a mouth that looks like that or similar to that.
That's the mouth of the David. All right, let's make the mouth of the David.
Yeah. It's important because lips are actually in parts, and you can see that the upper is in like waves, and the lower is in two waves, and you can see that the upper sits up higher than the lower. And you can also see that there are muscles that join the lower one here and here, and you can also see a really deep dip right in here and here as the muscles come around, the orbital muscles come around here. So that's what we're going to focus on.
All right. Well, that's appropriate because we're about talking.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. What do I do?
So what you can do is you can put it like this and orient yourself so that it comes from down to up like that. And now you're going to go from that up spot up and around and down.
Right, Marsh. So while we're doing this, let's see if I can have
a conversation.
Distributive attention. So, I want to have a conversation about things that you feel you are not being heard on. So, what would you say is the one thing that you are not being heard on in this crazy political time right now?
I would say right now the biggest issue, there are many, but the biggest issue is the environment. I believe that today we're getting a confirmation for an EPA director who is working for the oil companies. I believe that they're a problem in that they get profits from the oil companies, get profits. I can't do this. This is right brain and left brain.
You can't do it. Okay. All right. Just watch me do it.
Okay.
And tell me what I'm doing wrong.
Okay.
And then you talk. Okay.
Okay. So clearly, the kinds of regulations which I'm accustomed to, the kind of regulations that prevent me from having to breathe smog and having to be in an environment that is poisonous, concerns me a great deal, and I don't think that our new president has explored this issue or cares about this issue. He's chosen people who are affiliated with the oil industry, and so I feel that's the biggest one that I feel like I'm not being heard on.
So let's do this. Let's have the conversation not about what other people are doing, but what you feel you want to see. Because right now there's so much blame, I feel, going around and finger pointing that there's not enough listening. So what I really want to listen to is I want to listen to your to your priorities and your needs, your voice. So if you had a voice, if you had the ability to be listened, if I gave you this megaphone and everybody on Facebook, let's say, were listening to you. Hey, look at my lips.
They're good.
They're just coming
Two-dimensional.
Two-dimensional, yeah.
Yeah, you need to come. This needs to come
way down. So just trust it and go push it down.
Yeah,
so if you had the ear of the world, basically, aside from, okay, you don't want the oil companies to regulate, what is your vision for the future? What is your vision for how, what the EPA should do, and also how you feel the what does the EPA do, first of all, in your
Okay.
understanding?
Well, it's kind of even bigger than that because it's a worldwide process. It's the Paris Accords. It's the way the entire world has come together to look at the issue that the Maldivas are sinking, or we're losing them, and you want to get this really a lot more.
Okay.
And while it was less than perfect, I felt that things were progressing in a way that possibly my grandchildren would be able to survive on this planet. And with these changes, I'm very concerned that that's not going to be the case.
So why? Why
Why?
will you, right? Why?
The reason is that global warming is progressing at such a rate that climate change is progressing at such a rate that it's going to be unlivable in many, many areas. We have desertification going on. We have the oceans heating up and the coral reefs dying. We have evidence of species loss that is unprecedented since humans have been around. And I think that those things mean that it's not going to be a place where my grandchildren can do well.
Can do well. So, but that's a very sort of apocalyptic view of the world, because I mean,
Yes, it
well,
is, and I
okay,
have
so
that apocalyptic view.
you do, okay.
Yes,
So
I would
what you're
stand with
saying
that
is
one.
you want us all to have that apocalyptic view of the world?
I believe that if we don't, we're not going to survive. My grandchildren, at least, are not going to be survivors in this new place.
Okay, so but you hear from a lot of people that really what people need to survive now, what their worries are now, that they don't have jobs right now. People don't have jobs, so forget about grandchildren. What am I putting on the table today, tonight? What's happening to me today?
So I'm happy to see to it that every human being has what they need to live. Everyone that's on this planet. I think that we have the resources today to do that.
How?
To redistribute the wealth. I really think there's enough for all of us.
Okay,
right
but
here
that's
and
really
now.
hard for people to hear, because they're hearing you want the rich people who worked hard to make their wealth give it up so that people who don't work can have some of it too.
Yep.
All right, so
Yep, that's what I think.
okay. Well, all right. Why?
Okay.
What? How do you justify that? That's like socialism. How do you justify that? Why should they do it? How are
here's
you
the
going to
thing.
convince
If
Donald Trump to give up his wealth?
I don't know, because here's the thing. I understand that all the climate scientists, with very few exceptions, are on the same page about this. I understand that. And I'm a person who believes that that's the only evidence we have, is what the climate scientists are saying. And they have documented quite clearly what's going on. And I think that I don't know how to talk to people who don't listen to the facts of the matter.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah.
So how do we talk to people who who are more concerned, whose concerns, legitimate I would say, are about today's life, today's jobs, today's welfare. Forget about, children tomorrow. We'll figure that out when we get there, right? We've lived so far, and how do we, all of us, get through to each other? There has to be some kind of exercise in listening, right? That someone has to start. So that's what I'm saying. Maybe you and I are starting this new listening today. How could you listen to people who are concerned about tomorrow? What could we hear about that? Do you think?
I think that the fact is that when you have a grasp of something so urgent as in 20 years things may not be livable for great numbers of human beings on this planet. I think that is just it's so compelling that I don't know how you get people who think God is going to take care of it, or who think, paying the bills today is more important than this. I really am at a loss. I hope you are able to figure this one out, because I do not know how that could be. That we're going to play our violins until Rome burns. That we're going to.
You just mixed your disaster metaphors.
Yes, I sure did.
The Titanic and the Rome.
I know.
They're all going down and burning at the same time.
Yes.
So, play our violins until Rome is burning. All right. Well, here's the thing. Here's what I'm hearing.
Okay.
And so I'm hearing a solution that's not feasible. That's very hard to listen to. Redistribute the wealth. That's not going to work. There's not 7 people out there, even poor people, who would agree with that, right? I'm going to use the stool.
Yeah.
It's thinner than my. Because everybody likes to think themselves as like a billionaire in the making, and they don't like the idea that, well, I might work hard to make $1 billion, but then Marsh is going to come take it from me because she wants to redistribute it to all the people who are not interested. Is this what you're saying? We should give it to all the people? Give the money to all the people? What are you saying? What does redistribution of wealth even mean to you? And why is that? How is that going to solve the climate crisis?
Okay. So this is a multi-pronged process, and it goes in many different directions. And a forward-looking government would be pursuing environmentally sound sources of energy, and would be pursuing ways to retrain people in the coal industry, in the petroleum industry, to have jobs, to have a life that would work for them, maybe even make more money than they're making now, and would be beneficial to our world, our climate.
Okay.
So I just think that there are solutions. There are lots of people working on it. I'm in agreement with them that we need to do this, and we need to do this right away. This is not something we can postpone for a long time. So, yeah.
What if? Okay, so how does that have to? What does that have to do with redistribution of wealth? If we're going back to that.
So that is setting up education programs, setting up tax credits, setting up a government that privileges the things that are beneficial to our world and not the things that are detrimental to our world.
Uh-huh.
And you can do that. You can get people to change their ways, to change their use of energy by providing incentives. People are easily incentivized, and we belong in a country in which together we could work this out.
Where does the money for incentivizing come from?
Well, the government has a tremendous amount of money already. It gets our taxes, so there's already a huge amount of money going to the government. I think anybody would agree with that. And I think that it just needs to be spent differently, and it needs to be collected differently. I do think that there are people who are extremely wealthy who could be contributing more because they are too a part of this, and their children too are a part of this. It's not like their children are not going to be affected if the world goes south.
Right. So, but how would you talk to people who say, I don't want to be retrained. I like working in the mine industry.
I don't know how to listen to that. I really don't have any idea how you can listen to that. It has to come from a place that does not believe that this issue is an important, an urgent issue. It has to come from that kind of a place. And I don't know how, if given the information that's available today, it isn't seen by a person, I don't know how you get that person to see it.
Okay. Look at.
Yeah, it's all lips.
It's all lips. The chin is very far away. You have to push the chin more in.
There you go. Get your big round chin.
I got my chin. Here's your chin.
There, you could do this.
I could do this. I might take it up, Marsh.
I'm sorry I can't think of a way to
Well,
listen to the other side with any kind of patience or deference. It's hard for me to respect the blindness about the issues in another person, because I think the information is very available. It's very present. And I think it's willful not to see it.
So,
and I confess, in me, there's times when it's willful also. I have a big car.
Right.
So in some ways, I'm willful too.
Right.
But I do think that I could easily be incentivized not to have a big car.
So you would have to be incentivized from the outside not to have a big car.
I think
you can't
everybody
incentivize
has
yourselves.
To some extent I can, yes. But to complete extent, no.
Got it.
I recycle, I do the,
Yeah.
but I don't do everything.
So if you had to sum up your intention in the world, or your intention for this conversation, what do you think it would be? Like, how would you describe yourself in terms of political?
I'm very conservative in some areas. I'm a property owner. But I think I would like so much for people to see the urgency of the problem. And that would be my intention. That this is an unforgivably, it's almost too late kind of conversation.
Okay. Right. Hey, people. Marsh, you gonna show your mouth?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's my mouth.
Here's my mouth.
That woman is a professional sculptor. Okay. You get it. Okay. right. See you next week.
That's pretty good for a first out of the bag shot. You should come join our Tuesday group.